Las. Demon la. Nyangbo ane las. Nani nani tsapshira. Nani pika drul chile nyola. La. Kena ma kazu shuen. La chik. Oh, las.
With wholeheartedness, we would request Rinpoche to start the first session of the fourth evening's session on the topic how to take rebirth to which land? Amitabha land, correct. Thank you so much. Thank you, Rinpoche.
Sangye chedan tsoge chonam la chanjo bar dani je dani je soye be sonam rolam benje sangye jo bara sho sangye chedan chanjo bardo dani yazo je dani je ge be sonam ye rolam benje sangye jo bara Soye Janam Lan Janju Bardo Dani Kensoji Daye Chuje Gebe Sonam Jola Menje Sangye Jola Sho Sa Shi Böge Chuje Medotan Jirab Lingshe Nide Gembonde Sangye Shindo Mide Mwayi Namda Shiva Chubara Shoye Tamon Gurura Yandaraya Emi. Good evening. Special welcome to the Kimbulas from Bhutan. Yeah. Wish them a kusu zangbo. Okay. I forgot what the topic was for today. Yeah. Everybody wants to. Oh, yeah, that's a, yeah. Go to where? Pure Land. Amitabha Pure Land. And? Huh? Sorry? And do what? Practice there? Oh. Everybody has the same wish or different wishes. Yes, she said, go to Amitabha's Pure Land and then become enlightened. Everybody has the same wish or different wishes. So I think it's a sort of universal among followers of Mahayana Buddhism to have this keenness towards Amitabha, right? Of course, as a Buddhist, we have Buddha Shakyamuni, and then also we have a lot of deities, different deities, such as Amitabha, Genesi, like that. And I think in the Tibetan Buddhism, Genesis is the foremost, and maybe in Chinese and maybe Vietnam, Singapore, yeah, Southeast Asia, most of the Southeast Asia, Mahayana Buddhism have like follow Amitabha. I think when you greet someone in the spiritual way, it's Amitabha, right? Which is a slightly mispronounced way of saying Amitabha, right? I think in Vietnamese they say Amitabha, right? More mispronounced, but then it still works. Because even when we say in Tibetan, it's also a mispronunciation. It's not Amitabha, it's Amitabha. Yeah. Because most of the Sanskrit letter, they have a small, what we usually call a small a. So Amitabha also has that small a at the end, which is not supposed to be pronounced, but we do, right? Like yoga, which is yoga, right? Anyway. So, I think we all have this aspiration to be born in the Pure Land, right? Unlike the answer that you gave, most of the time people want to be born in Amitabha Pure Land, and then do what? And then just to relax. Yeah, because it's a relief from the hardship of samsara. What's that? Easiest pure land. Oh, okay. Oh. Why?
Because Amitabha made
Yeah.
48 vows
And
he accepts
yeah.
everybody.
Right. So the thing is, we all wish to be born. We have aspiration to be born in the Amitabha's Pure Land. All the time we are, of course, tired, exhausted by the samsaric pain, and seeking some sort of a relief, and for which we seek to be born in Amitabha's Pure Land, and just a relief. And then, a lot of time we do not aspire to become enlightened. A short relief, that is what we're looking for, a respite from the samsaric hardship. So if you are practicing with that intent, of course it's not wrong to wish to be born in Amitabha's Pure Land. But if you intend to be born in Amitabha's Pure Land for sake of short respite, then you are using it for the wrong reason. Yeah. Because in being born in Amitabha's Pure Land, you can achieve much more. It's the same reason why how Vajrayana should not be used for personal gain. I mean, you could have a lot of personal achievement, selfish achievement, but using it for that purpose is like, do you remember the analogy I used earlier about sandalwood? I think no one was there here when I talked about this one, the sandalwood. Instead of using sandalwood to create a beautiful statue or selling the sandalwood itself, crushing it and making an oil and this and that, some people just burn that sandalwood and sell the ashes or the coal, the coal to people for a meager sum. Of course, we get some money from that, but then that's not what sandalwood is to be used for. Anyway, So Amitabha's Pure Land, or the Pure Land, there are many different Pure Lands, but sometimes we should call it like the Buddha field. And it is a place when you are born there. You will not have any of your. Of course, there's no suffering of any kind. On top of that, your mindset also becomes positive. You are no longer accumulating any negative karma. And then you have, your mind becomes conducive to practice the Dharma. Right now in samsaric world, right now in the mundane world that we live, there is a lot of disturbances, distractions, both positive distraction and negative distraction, which drowns us into samsara, back to samsara. And the conditions are not conducive for us to prosper spiritually. So to be born in Amitabha's Pure Land, of course, the main purpose is that so that we can have such a conducive environment to practice, and there will be no disturbances physically or mentally. So we can dedicate ourselves fully to the practice, to progress spiritually. So the main goal, of course, should always to become an enlightened being. So the question was that was asked usually is, we all aspire to be born in the Amitabha's Pure Land as a devotee, as a ardent follower, or a member of Amitabha's club, Amitabha's Pure Land. But it's always under the tutelage or under the leadership of Amitabha or under the guidance of Amitabha. We just want to be born there. The question usually being asked is, why don't you wish to become Amitabha himself? We wish to, someone tells us the story of a very beautiful land. The facilities are awesome. Everybody is doing very well, this and that. So it's a very beautiful land. And then that beautiful land has a great leadership and all this and that. And then our wish is to be born in, to get to that place. And the question is, why don't you aspire to become sort of like the king itself of that land, instead of just being a subject of that beautiful land? Would you aspire to become the king of that land if you could? Most of the time we are thinking of just to be born as the subject, born to go to that kingdom and become a member of that kingdom, not necessarily the king itself. So my point is, most of the time we're thinking we just want to be born in the Pure Land. And this actually stems from the part that even though as a Buddhist we don't believe in Creator, we don't subscribe to the idea. Do we believe or don't we believe that the world is created by a God?
We are the God.
Huh?
We are the God.
We are the God. Oh, okay. We are the God means that we all are the God, or
Our mind is the God.
our mind is God. Why?
Because our mind is create all forms.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so Then, why do we pray to the Buddha?
To visualize ourselves to be like that.
To visualize ourselves as the Buddha. So that Buddha is what we project, we are projecting, we are manifesting. There is a term for that. What is it called? The seeing yourself as the Buddha in the future. You're familiar with the term resultant Buddha or the resultant refuge? Okay. So so the concept that you are referring to comes from that fact. So normally when we pray to the Buddha, any of the Buddhas, we are praying to something called the causal Buddha. So there's something called the causal, the three refuge, right? The refuge, Triple Gem, Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha. There is the causal Triple Gem and the resultant Triple Gem. So a lot of the time we are praying to the causal Triple Gem, and then also the Buddha. Most importantly, the Buddha that we are referring to is the causal Buddha. So relying on a causal Buddha, of course, it's beautiful, it's good. But if you keep relying simply on the causal Buddha, then you are actually, in a way, going against Buddha's own teaching, where he says that I cannot wipe off your suffering with my hands. I cannot transfer my realizations onto you. Only through showing you the path to nirvana, liberation, you will have to achieve liberation on your own. So if you have to achieve it on your own, then where does the relying on the Buddha, seeking refuge on the Buddha, come into the equation? If you are relying on somebody, Buddha himself said, don't rely on me. Or also he said, don't trust me because I said so, right? Scholars and bhikshus, don't follow me just because the Buddha said, don't follow what I said because it's spoken by the Buddha. Analyze as a goldsmith would analyze his gold by cutting, burning, by rubbing. Also do the same three-type analysis of my teaching, and then seek it. So Buddha said, don't rely on me, and then we are relying on the Buddha, right? And Buddha said, liberation is in your hand. Then we are asking Amitabha to take us to his pure land. It's all contradictory. Then Buddha said, just like, what's your name, sir? Amos, yeah. So just like Mr. Amos said, we are not supposed to, we don't believe in creator, a theistic God, but then anything good comes, we say, oh my God, right? Oh my, God meaning Buddha, yeah, that's what we are referring to. So intellectually, of course, we were told not to believe in a theistic God, but habitually, instinctively, intuitively, we hold on to the idea of a creator God. Okay, God, G with a capital G, O-D, God, okay, we kick him out. Instead, we replace him with B-U-D-D-H-A with a capital B, right? We put Buddha in place of God and then make him responsible for everything. I mean, we do that intuitively. If you ask any Buddhist, you will say, no. We are solely responsible for our own happiness and suffering. But then, anything good or bad happens, we blame. Good thing happen. Most of the time, bad thing happen, we blame, right? And good things happen. A lot of time we credit ourselves. Sometimes the Buddha. In any case, we should be crediting. So the Buddha, that we should be crediting the Buddha, but not the causal Buddha, but what is known as the resultant Buddha. When we pray, when we visualize ourselves as a deity, which is a major part of what Vajrayana practice is all about, we are not transforming ourselves into an entirely, when we do the self-generation, rise ourselves as Charya-Sikh, this and that, we are not transforming ourselves into a totally different person, like a totally different individual. Like me turning into Amos. We are two different individuals with different consciousness, you can say different soul. So we are not turning into Amitabha or Charya-Sikh, which is a person totally different from us. We are actually turning into Amitabha or Charya-Sikh, my future Charya-Sikh, my future Amitabha. Or in other words, myself as a Charya-Sikh in the future, myself as a Amitabha in the future. Charya-Sikh Kohang. Kohang is, simply put, it's more like a statehood. So the statehood of Charya-Sikh. So Charya-Sikh, there is one way to think of Charya-Sikh where we have this sort of a somewhat biological or historical context of Charya-Sikh, or all the deities like Amitabha, Tara, this and that. Then we have this mystical understanding, or where the Charya-Sikh is not necessarily a biological person, but a sense of attainment, a level of attainment, or a sense of attainment that we can achieve, we aspire to achieve. So to be born in the land of Charya-Sikh and to become Charya-Sikh is not to become another person per se, but to transform ourselves into the perfect embodiment of personifying compassion, which is what Charya-Sikh means. So ourselves as the Buddha in the future manifest. I think in today most of we call it manifesting, right? If you wish to buy a house or a car, before you actually do it, you would imagine yourself driving that car or living in that apartment or house, whichever, whatever. So you manifest that, and later, before you buy that house, you will manifest, or you will imagine yourself in that place so many times. And then after some time, you will be able to get it. So when you are visualizing yourself in that apartment, that is the resultant Buddha, or the resultant inhabitant or resident of the imaginary house, which is yet to be bought, but you will buy later. So the resultant Buddha, the Buddha that we are aspiring to, when we say, I take refuge in the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha, we are seeking refuge, we are seeking blessing from the causal Buddha, or the enlightened beings that are alive right now. But when we take refuge in the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha, Buddha himself said, I cannot transform your suffering into joy. You have to do that yourself. So when you take refuge in the Triple Gem, you're not referring to the causal Buddha, meaning the Buddha that is alive now. Your suffering cannot be taken away by Buddha himself, cannot be washed away. Just as the Buddha cannot transfer his realization onto you. If he could, then he would have done. Because there are two things need to do that. One is compassion, and one is the ability to transfer your realization. Compassion, the Buddha is not lacking. He has compassion for all of us. What is he lacking, or what is impossible for him to do, is the transference of his own realization. It is said that, usually we talk about the Buddha's omnipotency. The Buddha being omnipotent can do anything. If there is anything that the Buddha cannot do, is that override the karmic system. The law of causality, karma, cannot be overridden. The law of causality, karma, and the Buddha's potential are regarded as equal, of equal weight, of equal potential. So one cannot move the other. If it is possible, then the Buddha would have done long time ago, tens of thousands of eons back. Because Buddha always wishes to free sentient beings. It is not that he is lacking in freeing sentient beings. He wished to do that. As no matter how much he would like to free sentient beings, he couldn't, unless we do something about it ourselves. So it's like, I can serve you the best food, but you have to eat it yourself, right? I cannot eat for you, I cannot sleep for you. I can make you a bed and say good night, but you have to sleep yourself. The same goes with all this. So when you are taking refuge in the Buddha, we tend to think about the causal Buddha a lot, but it is actually the resultant Buddha, Dividya, the resultant Buddha to whom we must be relying. Resultant Buddha is nothing external. It's actually yourself in the future. Yourself as a Buddha in 2050, 2030, I don't know, when you can achieve Buddhahood. So you are relying on that Buddha. You are relying on yourself achieving your goal in the future. That is called the resultant Buddha, and that is what we should be striving for. So likewise, when we talk about the Amitabha Buddha, it should be yourself already being born in Amitabha Buddha in the future, which is yet to come, but projecting yourself in the future to that Amitabha, to whom you should be, seeking refuge into, relying upon. If you do that, then it is achievable, because that is yourself in the future, so you can become that one. If you think of the causal Amitabha Buddha, an individual that is other than you, external, different from you, you cannot become that person. I can never become you, right? So the deities, Amitabha, Shakyamuni Buddha. Shakyamuni is a historical Buddha, by the way. Amitabha, Generasic, all these different Buddhas, different deities, are the enlightened personification of an enlightened quality of the Buddhas. They are not to be, because of due to our tendency we tend to think of Jnana as a person that is outside of us, that is external to us, that is a totally different person, totally different from us, saving us from this and that. Because that's what we have been used to for so many eons. If we, the times that we have been born in samsara, innumerable, and in all those times when we have been non-Buddhist, non-believer, innumerable, even as a believer, non-Buddhist, once again, countless time. Therefore, all those times we have been relying on an external factor, a Buddha outside of us, a Lord or a God outside of us that will help us to be born, to save us from this and that. Even as a kid, we rely on someone else, like our parents, our siblings, others, to take us out from our misery. Very, how to say, quite seldomly, we take the reins into our own hand and say, okay, I'm going to do something about it. So due to that fact, even when we are supposedly practicing Buddhism, we still tend to rely upon someone else to do it for us. So to a great extent, in order to give relief, it is very helpful to rely on an external deity or an object. But then at the end of the day, it should be yourself that you should be relying on. That's why we have the front generation and the self-generation practices. You yourself becoming the Buddha, and as a Buddha, doing the activities of an enlightened being, engaging in the enlightened activities of the Buddha. That's what we have all this. Okay, so this is just a broad idea. So, being born in the Pure Land, we just described what a Pure Land is. We just described Pure Land is the property, for lack of a better word, or the estate or the property of an enlightened being. So if you think you are actually going to be born, if you think by being born in a land, certain land, you will have no negative emotion. Everything, this is what I described earlier. Pure land. What kind of impurities is it free from? It's free from negative mindset, negative emotions, and suffering of physical, mental, all these things. So when you talk about such a thing, but Buddha himself said that I cannot transfer my realization onto you. But then by being born in the land of Amitabha, you are already free from all negative mindset. It seems contradictory, right? Buddha himself very clearly said that your mind cannot be free from suffering. I cannot make your mind free from suffering. And then there's another Buddha, he's called Amitabha, and he said, if you're born in my land, then you have no impure thoughts. That's contradictory to Buddha's teaching, what Buddha taught. One of them has to be, not right or something. So which brings us to question the very fact, is Pure Land a myth or a reality? Is it possible to have a piece of land? When you are born there, all of a sudden, you have no negative thought. If we are to transport ourselves to moon, do we have less negative thought? If you go to Mars, I don't know, we haven't, but will it free us from all negativities? Usually, if we have negative traits, right? Vicious vicious thoughts, negative, very ill intent, all these things. Doesn't matter which country you go to the most prosperous land in the world, within the earth, you still have those vicious thoughts. And especially because there are more opportunities, you are able to expand your wing much further. Earlier, you just have ill thought. Now you have negative actions extending from that negative thought. So just by being born in a pure land, how come all of those negative emotions disappear? How can that be possible? It's a big question, right? It's a big question we have to ask. Is it possible or not? If it's not possible, then why do we try? This whole conversation, all of us gathering to be born in the pure land, it's just it's futile, useless. Why discuss? No matter which, if you use logical rationality, according to the law of rationality, no matter which place you go, if you have negative mindset, you will still have negative mindset. The more you go to the most prosperous, pleasant country, kingdom, whatever, all your negative ill-intent thoughts, they don't change. So how could it change all of a sudden when you are born in the pure land of Amitabha? Seems very far-fetched story. Which brings us to a question. It can only be possible to have such a pure land of such magnificent, marvelous quality, marvelous achievement, meaning just being born there, all negative thoughts just don't come up, right? It doesn't mean, even in the text, it doesn't say that if you're born in the pure land, you become enlightened right away. It didn't say that. It just says, according to the text, it just says that when you're born there, the environment becomes so conducive that you do not have to have the negative thoughts reduced by itself. Is that possible? How is it possible? In order to have such an extraordinary effect, to be in the land of that person, just by being born in that land, you're going to receive such an extraordinary effect. The person who owns the land also has to be an extraordinary person. So coming to the Buddha of that particular pure land, Amitabha, or any Buddha in general. So we are solely relying on the fact, what you just mentioned, that Amitabha made this great promise, or took the pledge, that when I will become a Buddha, only if those who are born in my pure land could achieve stable mentality, pure mentality. If this thing could not happen, unless this thing is achievable, I do not wish to be enlightened. And of course, he is enlightened, or we believe him to be enlightened, a Buddha. That means his pledge, his promise is achievable. But how can we be so sure that what he said is true, real? Right? We have, for example, Shakyamuni Buddha, whom Shakyamuni, so usually I do 3 segments. Siddhartha Gautama Buddha. It's one person, but there's three. Siddhartha was born a prince. He saw all the things that the musings of samsara, he ventured into ascetic life, became known as Gautama. Then through his penance and practice, became the Buddha. So I recently had this creative idea, because there's always this controversy about where Buddha was born. So I said, Siddhartha was born in Nepal, and Buddha in Bodh Gaya, because he achieved enlightenment in Bodh Gaya. In any way, this is just a kind of off the track. My point is, Siddhartha Gautama Buddha, he also made a promise, or he also ventured out to find out something. He went out to find the truth. So he went out to find out sort of 4 truths. When he was confined within the palatial premises, his mind was totally, disappointed, depressed. He ventured out. He saw a sick person, old person, and a dead person, a corpse. Then he also saw an ascetic, and so according to the legend, every time he asked his charioteer, his chauffeur, the horseman, Chanda, what is that? Because he was confined in the palace and didn't see anything untoward. So he always he's never seen any of those. So he was told there's a sick person. What is a sick person? Blah blah blah, like that. Sick person means a frail person, an infirm. What is infirm? Can it happen to all of us? Yes, me, your father, you, everyone. Old age, everyone. Die, everyone. And then he saw the ascetic. What is that? He's seeking get out of that. Then Buddha ventured out. Siddhartha ventured. He went into the wild, did meditation, penance, everything, and later he became the Buddha, the awakened one. He wasn't born Buddha. Something very important for all of us to remember. Yeah, if he's born as a Buddha, then it's hopeless for us to aspire to become Buddha. Right? Buddha is achievable through penance and practice. You can be born as a prince or anything, but you cannot be born as a Buddha. Buddha is to be achieved by yourself. Anyway, so after becoming the Buddha, did he find the truth? Did he find an answer to old age, to death, to pain, sickness? According to the Buddha's own account, Devadatta threw a boulder at him, and a small portion of the rock hit his feet. He was also said to have been pricked on the feet. There was blood. A thorn got pricked to his feet. So obviously he could feel pain. And according to the popular legend, he passed away due to sickness. And of course, he grew old. He lived up to 80. Then he also passed away, what we usually refer to, out of respect, nirvana. He seems to have passed away. So, by seeking the fourth, he saw four things, the four visions. By going for the fourth vision, an ascetic life, was he or was he not able to achieve freedom from old age, sickness, and death? What do you think? Got freed or not?
Depends.
It depends.
How you see it.
Okay, how do you see it?
You speak for the body, yes, but you speak for the mind.
The body died,
Yeah, but the
mind didn't die. But that's for all, even the dog is like that. The dog's body dies, but the mind is free. The mind gets transferred to the next life. So what's the difference between Gautama's body and the dog's body? The dog's mind, in terms of getting transferred to the next life.
The attachment to forms or forms, basically forms.
Yeah. So there's no attachment, but he's still kind of wired to samsara.
He can come back with the loss.
But do you believe that he died? He didn't die. Didn't die or did die?
The body died, but the
The body died. So if I ask you, did the Buddha die? Siddhartha Gautama, did he die or not? What do you think? Just give your honest answer. It's fine. I'm not challenging you. I'm just it's a simple question.
yes,
Die, right? Some say die, some say don't die. Okay, so we will go through both avenues. So according to the popular legend, he seems to have died. So the popular legend, usually when we follow the Sharavaka perspective, or what we refer to as the Theravada perspective, he was born, real. He passed away, dead, also real. In the Mahayana perception, it's a Zeba manifestation, not real. That's a two different perspective. Anyway, if the birth is real, then the death is also real. It's called Pombolhama Mevenyangela. So when he got enlightened, it's nirvana with residue. That's the reference. And when he passed away, when he died, popularly, that time he passed into nirvana without residue. Residue means the body. So he achieved nirvana earlier when he became the Buddha. Gautama became a Buddha, he achieved nirvana. But when he left the body, then he left no residue. There's no residue is there. So therefore he became a full Buddha. That's the Sharavaka perspective. In any case, so according to the Sharavaka perspective, when he passed into nirvana without residue, then there is nothing left except the mind. No body, no physical aspect. Only the mind is there. So when there is no body, just the mind. The mind itself is intangible. Mind is intangible. Mind itself is not visible to others. In order to help sentient beings, you need to manifest, right? So Buddha manifests in two different forms. One is what we refer to as the Sambhogakaya, the other enjoyment body, and the other one is Nirmanakaya, the manifest body or the emanation body. So Siddhartha Gautama, the historical Buddha, passed away That means he could not go past, or he could not achieve what he was coming to look for. Old age, he became old. Death, he died. Sickness, he was not able to avoid it. So from a Mahayana point of view, we have a, more stable sort of answer, because it's all manifested for us to motivate us, to inspire us. But from the Shavaka perspective, which is the general perspective, when we talk about Buddha's life, he was born as a prince and this and that, then he actually could not find, he was not able to get any of the things that he was trying to do. So for which we actually need to refer to the Mahayana perspective. So I'm not trying to say which is superior and which is inferior, but the explanation that is provided in the Shavaka text, Theravada text, is not sufficient to prove, to provide. Explanation from the Shavaka tradition is not sufficient to lay the foundation for the full potential of an completely enlightened Buddha. Because when he died, everything is gone, done. Shakyamuni Buddha, according to historic the Shavaka understanding, he's gone, done, no more. So he tried so hard to find solution for these three things: illness, death, aging, but he himself couldn't find it. He died, he got sick, he got old. So therefore, and then he died without doing anything about this, let alone for others. He himself is a victim of these three things. He couldn't get out of it himself. So therefore, the explanation in the Shavaka text is insufficient, especially if you think all this is real or true, that Siddhartha Gautama was his sort of first ordinary sentient being in life, and then within one lifespan he became an enlightened being or a Buddha. And after becoming a Buddha, he did give a teaching, he did leave some wisdom. But the wisdom of Buddha is not just to provide solace in this lifetime. It is to find answer for these three questions, primary questions, right? Death, sickness, aging, which he didn't find, apparently. So in order to find purpose of the Buddha's, the Gautama attaining Buddhahood, we need to rely on a text that is more profound or more expansive. Otherwise, it does not do justice to the Buddha's full potential, the omnipotency, the omnisciency. None of this matter here. He ventured outside, became the so-called the Buddha enlightened being. He shared some wisdom, gave solace to the people, and then he passed away. He didn't do anything for people. And right now we are living in his memory. He himself is not there. Because the body is changed, the mind may be somewhere, but it's not doing anything. So in order to make sure, in order to establish the fact that the Buddha is not just the Buddha is not just that. There's more to Buddhahood than this. We have to rely on the Mahayana text, where it speaks about the four kayas, or the three kayas. The truth body, Dhammakaya, right? Sughu and Chukhu. The form body, the Dhammakaya and the form body. So Dhammakaya, or the Dhamma body, truth body, and the form body. So we have to rely on that to expand or extend Buddha's validity, usability, purpose, everything. If you think Buddha died that day, 2,500 years ago, after reaching the age of 80, and that's all, then actually he didn't achieve much. It was very similar to most other teachers of his time or prior to that. Yeah, honestly. Of course, he was a stickler for rationality, but rationality is not the answer to everything. A lot of things in life does not fall under the law of rationality. Especially when you talk about emotions, human emotions don't follow the rule of rationality. It is very unpredictable, our emotions. Whether there is a trigger or not, it is very unpredictable. Anyway, so in order to bring the value of God, in order to bring the value of Gautama achieving Buddhahood, the purpose, the value of Buddha's teaching, and why Buddha is important, we need to rely on the four kayas, or two kayas mainly, the Dharmakaya and the Rupakaya, form body. So the Dharmakaya is basically when Buddha achieved enlightenment, when Gautama achieved enlightenment, Buddhahood, the very nature or the essence, sometimes we call it the suchness, because there is no proper way to translate that. Tekhwananyi, suchness in English. that which very is. No translate. No equivalent for that in English. Okay. Suchness. Basically the ultimate truth. That's what he recognized, or he saw, or he perceived, that's what he realized, or the ultimate truth. So the ultimate truth that he realized, that he recognized, is very much his own. That essence. So that essence of ultimate truth, which he sees, is the Dharmakaya. But then by itself, it's even energy is not the right word, because it is by its very nature that the ultimate truth, the very nature by itself, it itself does not do anything, the very nature. So it has to manifest. It can, the very realization of emptiness is an achievement for the Buddha himself, but he couldn't do anything for us. Buddha recognizing emptiness. If I could, for example, we go to see a show, and I'm the tallest person and I can see it. It does not do anything for you. It's my entertainment. I can view. Those of you who cannot see, it doesn't do anything for you. So Buddha recognizing the ultimate truth, which is the Dharmakaya, does not do anything for us, unless it takes a form, a rupa. It has to manifest. It has to take a form of a body. Two types: enjoyment and manifest. So manifesting in the enjoyment body or the Sambhogakaya. So Sambhoga enjoyment, I don't know how faithful the translation is to the English translation enjoyment body is to the actual word. Sambhoga. Some is all. Bhog is to consume, encapsulate, overwhelm. So it has the connotation of all these words. Entrenched, but in a positive way. So, for a lack of better translation, it's usually called enjoyment body, which sounds very, it's quite trivial actually, just to enjoy. Buddha, the Buddha's body as an enjoyment thing, like a toy. In any way, the truth body itself is useless to us by its own definition, because it's what the Buddha could see himself and does not do anything for us. In order to help us, it has to manifest in a form, Sambhogakaya and Rupakaya. And Sambhogakaya is said to have what you usually call the 5 definitions. It can teach only Mahayana Sutra. It lives up to eternity. It lives only in the Omintu Okavishing, I don't know what you call that. The not, what is Omin? Omin kasi kinking Lawana. Lawana Omin Shingamde. So it lives in his pure land, which is not accessible and visible to any ordinary beings. It's a very exclusive club. Yeah, it said that only Arya Bodhisattvas that have reached the first level, is accessible to them. So basically, the teaching given by the Sambhogakaya is accessible only to the Bodhisattvas above, so only like first ground Bodhisattvas and up. Only gives Mahayana teaching. His only students are followers are Bodhisattva, Arya Bodhisattvas. He teaches up to the end of eternity.
How are we going to learn that?
Huh? Yeah, that's what I'm coming to. I'm laying out the foundation. I'm starting a very big project, okay? That's why I'm taking a long time to lay the background, and I know many of you are really feeling drowsy and all that, but what I'm trying to do is like, it's a very big land. Then we will start the project after that, building the property, house and all that. No, I mean, we take things for granted, right? And then, okay, the text itself is very short, actually, maybe less than 2 pages, maybe 3 pages max. I can just read it all out and say, okay, to be born in the Amitabha's pure land is do 3 prostration, do this mantra, 4 types, blah 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 blah, like this, and then that's it. I think you're already familiar with this. Yeah, most of you already are more acquainted in them myself. But laying the background, for me, I think that is very important, because, yeah, before we start constructing the building, we need to make sure that all this land has the green light from the government. The government called, the authorities called ego within ourselves. So we need to clear everything. Anyway, so my point was, yeah. So Sambhogakaya has all these definitions, right? Meaning very exclusive. Sambhogakaya is exclusive. To put it very mildly, if you want to have an imagination of what a vision of what a Sambhogakaya is, usually all the deities that we see who are in a celestial form, meaning in a princely sort of attire, like a prince, like a king, that kind of thing. Like, for example, Manjushri here on the right and Vajrapani on the left. This is Sambhogakaya form. If we are to have a vision of Sambhogakaya Buddha, that is how it would be. So all the Buddhas that we visualize in a celestial form, like a godly, God is not the right word. In Tibetan we usually say Lai Namache, but Lai as a God is not proper. So celestial, celestial being. These are all Sambhogakaya form. But it's not visible to, this is we draw it as such under the instruction of authentic masters who say Vajrapani looks like this, Amoghasiddhi looks like that, so it's drawn like that. But for us to have a face-to-face encounter with any Sambhogakaya form, Sambhogakaya, we need to achieve the level of a first level bodhisattva.
In order to see
See
them.
them. Yeah, face to face. Can you see? one Arya Bodhisattva here. Yeah. Anyway, so my point is, now what I'm trying to build up is, if that is possible, right? An Arya Bodhi, a Sambhogakaya form is possible, right? Yeah, but okay. So the problem with Sambhogakaya is very exclusive, not for, it's very exclusive. So there are two types of audience. So you cannot have a lot of other people who are not privy to that exclusive club, not Arya Bodhisattva. So in order to, work for their benefit, to satisfy them, or in order to achieve their purposes, then the Buddha takes another roop, another form. That is called tulku. Tulku, right? Tulku. Nirmanakaya. Tul is the active verb for manifesting or to changing shapes. To change shape. That is the meaning of tul. That is the for a more proper wording, you can say manifesting. So the form that which he actually appears in is not visible, not accessible to most of us. He changes his shape, or he changes his form, right? Tul, which has the connotation of tul, yeah? Like, for example, in Tibetan, the machines, motors, we call them tulko. So it's run by a motor, not by a human. So it has the connotation of doing something on its own without human intervention. The essence of perpetuity is there. Okay, so tulku, tulbeku, or manifesting in a different form, changing its form to suit us. That is tulku. So Buddha, anyone after achieving enlightenment, because the real reason, the purpose of becoming a Buddha is to help sentient beings. So after achieving enlightenment, you take the form to help them. So it's like after becoming a graduate, then you take the profession that is necessary for your community to strive. A doctor is necessary, okay, I become a doctor. An engineer, okay, I become an engineer. That is what tulku is basically. So tulku can come in many different forms. in elated forms like kings, teachers, monks, etc. What usually we call tapa and Amitabha, like pure and impure. Then, and sometimes as animals, bridges, yeah, tulku. Tulku comes in animate and inanimate forms. So some animate, sometimes the Buddha tul or manifest in the form of a bridge or a mountain, etc. to help sentient beings. When no words are necessary to help alleviate their suffering, they have to come in the form of inanimate objects, non-living, seemingly non-living things to help sentient beings. Then they take these kind of different forms to help. So one of the forms that Buddha take is that of the Nirmanakaya. So most of the time when we depict the Buddha in the Nirmanakaya form, the tulku, we depict them as a fully ordained monk, as we just see with the Buddha Shakyamuni in the center. So according to the Mahayana perspective of understanding, Shakyamuni Buddha, Siddhartha Gautama Shakyamuni Buddha, this is not his first, he did not become a Buddha in this very lifetime, 2,500 years ago, as the son of King Suddhodana. He was a Buddha way before. He manifested the form of the Rupakaya form, the emanation body, to lead us the way. Everything from his birth to death is an enactment. Yeah, it's a reenactment. It's not real. The birth was not real, manifested. The death was not real, manifested. So therefore, in that understanding, there's no contradiction with Buddha not finding the solution to death, aging, and sickness, because he was never sick to begin with. Shakyamuni Buddha, never sick, aged, or died to begin with. All these were manifested, because this is what we go through as an ordinary being. So he is telling us that if by following the teaching that he shared with us, we can also achieve the same thing. So he, like that, so they manifest in the tulku form. So out of the many tulkus, usually we talk about tulku, we think about like the Tibetan tulku system and this and that. That is a very, 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 very much later part of tulku recognition system, this and that. There is the concept of tulku in India, but no concept of recognizing a young boy or a girl as a, that sort of tulku recognition system is not there prior to the first Karmapa. Is he the very first recognized emanation body ever? No. There were other masters in India who were recognized or who were self-recognized as but with the systematically recognizing a tulku, a young boy, as the reincarnation of a certain Lama, that happened with the first Karmapa. Like that. In India, anyone familiar with Chandra Gomi? Yeah, he's contemporary with Chandra Kirti. Chandra Kirti? Yeah. So Chandra Gomi is not a monk, okay, but a great scholar. And he's during Chandra Kirti's time. So Chandra Kirti's time, Chandra Gomi. Tibetan we usually say Chandra Gomi. So Chandra Gomi Chandragomi was an ardent follower or practitioner, devout devotee of Manjushri, and he is said to have like direct encounter, like face to face, with Manjushri on a daily basis, whenever he wishes to. Basically, like we can meet people, he can. So Chandrakirti has much respect for him. I mean, he knows. So anyway, so he was invited to Nalanda so that the people, the monks, the community of Nalanda can offer prostration and accumulate merit by honoring him. So Chandragomi said, I will come to Nalanda, yeah, but I don't want the monks to genuflect to me, prostrate to me, because that's so improper. But let's devise a plan. Let's carry a statue of Manjushri, make a statue of Manjushri grand, do a grand procession. I'll be one of the forebearers to carry the Manjushri statue. And then people, when Manjushri is entering Nalanda, they can genuflect, they can do prostration. So accidentally or automatically genuflect to him as well. So I mean, that's one of the things Chandrakirti did, Chandragomi. So anyway, Chandragomi had this debate with one of the non-Buddhist school. I don't know which school that was, but great, very profound debate going on there. And then Chandragomi and his adversary, his opponent, was demanding for physical evidence of rebirth. Logical evidence is not sufficient. Physical evidence that you die, then you rebirth, right? You're born again. Prove it. How to do that? So you have to die first and to be born, which is cannot do in general. So what Chandragomi did was he marked on his navel. He put a marker on his navel, and then he, I don't know, manifested death or whatever. So he basically passed away. Then he said, so he gave all the instruction, like on a certain date, this and that, to this and that family, everything laid down, all the background. So anyway, so he sort of like he recognized himself before his passing, Chandragomi. Yeah. Anyway, so what I'm trying to say was that the Tulku system was started with the Karmapa, but recognizing rebirth is not is there even prior to that. So anyway, the Tulku, right, the manifest Rupakaya, taking a form body or forming a body, right? Taking a form, Rupa, that's the meaning. So, so one of them is Amitabha Buddha. In order to help sentient beings, he takes the form of Amitabha, right? Infinite light. And then, because the truth body, Dharmakaya, is possible, Sambhogakaya is possible. Because Sambhogakaya is possible, Nirmanakaya is also possible. This time the Nirmanakaya being the emanation body of known as Amitabha. If such an extraordinary being, individual, called individual emanation body or emanating person called Amitabha is possible, then him having a property or a place, a pure land, having such a miraculous qualities, extraordinary capabilities is also a possibility. Right? If you have visited, how many of you visited Bodh Gaya? Haven't? Oh, okay. Only in the bag, huh? Oh, we should visit. Must. Yeah. How many of you have visited 500 times? Yeah, last life, yeah, you could have, yeah, you cannot, yeah. Anyway, you go to Bodh Gaya, you enter the Sanctum Sanctorium inside. I don't know, but outside Bodh Gaya is a very happening place, right? A lot of things going on, business, trade deals, so many other things going on. People trying to cheat each other, yeah? Right, you've been to Bodh Gaya, you know. For the, the rent for the rooms, for the price, the selling, the handlooms, handicraft, everything super overpriced, everything, trying to cheat each other. And then of course there's a lot of not so holy monastics too, and everything. But you enter this inner Sanctum Sanctorium, everything kind of like silences itself. You enter into a different sphere of world, different realm. You still see them. I mean, if you know all these people trying to do different things, it's visible, but it becomes a blur, no longer affecting you. When you enter Bodh Gaya, it has that magnetizing effect, that purifying effect, all these things. You don't have to be born in Sukhavati, right? Land of bliss, Amitabha's pure land. Just by entering Bodh Gaya, especially when you go to the very inside, the inner Sanctum Sanctorium, the very inside, where you have a glimpse of the Buddha. You could feel him being, him living and breathing, and you like there's a totally different vibe. Everything just freezes. Time freezes. You don't know. So this is a very small sort of a trailer. Yeah, it's a trailer telling us that it is possible to have a pure land. If you're born in the pure land, then all this negative thought just diminishes. It doesn't mean it's eradicated, because you have to work hard. You still have to use the antidote to the destructive emotions, ego, attachment, ignorance, everything. But it just kind of dies on its own, dies down, reduces. So therefore, because Bodh Gaya is very much possible, visible, accessible, visitable, experienceable, has such a miraculous power, potential. 2,000 and almost 600 years after the Buddha's passing, even though he may not be apparently living in front of us, not visibly living in front of us, the efficacy of his, for a lack of a better word, magic still resides, permeates in that space. Then pure land of Amitabha is also possible, achievable, attainable, and all that. So, this is the background. This is the trailer, the first day. Yeah, we will try to build up more tomorrow. So, thank you for listening intently, for my mutterings. So tomorrow we will go into more detail, okay? Yeah, we just laid the background for today. And thank you very much once again for your attention. Yeah. Kewan di nyodon da lama sangye jogyo jowa jejang malu bangye ge salam vevara jo janjo semjo rembo je maye panamange yuro je kewa nyamba meba one mondo bewa jo pama simje tamje dedan din yuro Nindro tamje dato tongwa dan chanju senpa kana soju Deda yunye melam jogyo chi